Good morning, everybody. It's September 18th. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We're very glad you're with us this morning. So our agenda this morning is, first thing we'll do is we'll see if we have any success stories, any landings. Nobody has emailed me this week, so I don't know, but we'll see if hopefully somebody on the line can share their success with us. After that, we'll have everybody put in their 30-second introductions into the chat box so that we can capture all that information, and I will get that out to everybody this afternoon via an email. After that, we'll go to our committee reports, workshop, job fairs coming up. We'll hear from the PIT crew, the interview success workshop, and then we'll hear from the career tip of the week. And then we'll have our speaker talking about it with the main event today. For those people who are on Facebook, for those people who are on Zoom, because Facebook isn't running yet, if in the participant box, we really ask that you go click on that box and you can hover over your name. If your full name is not there, like there's a B Walker, so I don't know what your first name is, and I haven't checked all the other names, but if you can, please make sure your full first and last name is there. And when you hover over that, you can rename yourself. Please put in your full first and last name. That way I can capture that on the roster to make sure that we can count you active if you happen to use this for TWC for your reporting requirements. For those people on Facebook, once again, if you have any questions during the presentation today, please just enter them into the chat box. We're not on Zoom yet, so we're not on Facebook, so I'll skip that part. Once again, we ask that if you can, to please go to the speaker view, which is on the lower left-hand corner. It's what it looks like. That way you can see the speaker and the speaker. And if you take where that little red arrow is, those couple of white lines, you'll be able to slide that back and forth to make the ratio as big or as small as you'd like to do. Please note this event is currently recorded. It is not currently live on Facebook, but hopefully we can get there. The recording will be, I will upload the recording to the Career DFW Facebook page and to the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comments, name, and picture to appear. Well, good afternoon, or good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. I founded Career DFW back in 2008 to help the unemployed in the DFW area. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group when I took it over from somebody else who landed a position back then. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help people outside the DFW area. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news. If you have landed, if you have good news, please unmute your mic and please tell us your good news. Anybody? Any landings this week?
I have one, Jeff.
Okay, please go ahead, Mark.
So Paxton Marks has landed. He practiced a couple of times with the PIT crew, most recently in middle of August, but also before that in the end of June. And he's a quality kind of guy. And so he landed a position with Emblem Solutions as their director of quality role. They're based in Atlanta, Georgia, but his job will be in Dallas, along with another quality person who's on his team. So there you go. He's working for a company in Atlanta and gets to stay in Dallas. So that's Paxton Mark. So if you're in that area, in the quality area, you know, he would be a good resource to network with to find out what his job search was like and maybe some opportunities that he saw that that he wasn't interested in. And so congratulations to Paxton.
Very good. Thank you very, very much. Anybody else? All right, let's move ahead. Let's see here. So what we want to do now is we'd like everybody to please enter into the chat box the following information. We want to make sure that you put in your phone, your name, your phone number, your email address, position you're looking for, and 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. I will capture all that information. I will put that out in an email to everybody this afternoon. And once again, here's an opportunity to make sure I've got your full first and last name so we can make sure that we have you counted today. So let's have a little bit of music here. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to get Facebook up and running here, so that's why I keep stopping the music.
Can I get job search for 500?
We'll try one more time and see if we can get Facebook up and running. You can only do so many things at a time on your computer, and I guess it didn't want both things to happen here. Oh, here we go. All right, I think we're good now. Let's see here. Get this and this. And we could be live on Facebook here in just a second. All right, so hopefully everybody's put in their contact information. That would be great. And look at that. I see us live on Facebook right now, which is great. Okay. All right, so we'll move ahead here. So training workshop job fair is coming up. Eldon, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm about to go over the career and job fairs as well as the workshops. This information can be found on the website Career DFW on the calendar tab, which is up on the screen even as we speak. This week's career and job fairs, the 2020 Rockwall Virtual Job Fair will be held Friday, September 18th today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there's a link on the calendar to register for that. The Big Tech's Virtual Job Fair will be held Thursday, September 24th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there is a link that you can go to find out more about that one. There's also a Big Tech's, the Dallas Job Fair by Champions of Diversity will be held Thursday, September 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It lists at the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel Market Center, 2015 Market Center Boulevard in Dallas, and there is a link to find out more about that one. And also another Big Tech's Virtual Job Fair will be held Friday, September 25th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and there's a link for that one. This week's special workshops or events. Today is the third Friday Internet of Things Special Interest Group Breakfast. Oh, I am sorry about that. That was my, Jeff, can you take over? That was my wife and she's at the doctor right now. So I really need to take that. I apologize.
Okay, that's fine. No problem. Thank you, Eldon. All right. So today from 10 to noon, the Virtual Job Fair Readiness Workshop. It's put on by the Dallas Workforce Commission. You can sign, well, I mean, you're going to be at this meeting for most of that time. So we can move on there. Next week, events that are happening. Next Monday, the Who You Know workshop is online. The Career Summit is on from 1 to 3 o'clock. There's a link on the calendar for that. On Tuesday, LinkedIn Tuesdays. Next Tuesday will be Locke Alderson, who'll be presenting. LinkedIn for job seekers. So you're welcome to join us at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. At 3 o'clock, the Frisco Career Transition Workshop will be having session number 2. Session number 2 is Resume Optimization, Design, and Content by Rex Sayat, who is one of the founders of the workshop. Next Wednesday, at the the Interviewing Wednesday workshop with Mark McDonald and Walt Glass. Let's see here, it will be session number 8, Building Rapport, Establishing Chemistry with the Interviewer. So please join us from 1 to 2:30 on that Wednesday. Next Thursday, interviewing Effective Resume Thursdays. Every Thursday, Carol Brickell, who happens to be our speaker today, will be presenting all about resumes and stuff. It's great information. She changes it up every week, so hopefully you'll join us. And then next Thursday, also from 2 to 4 o'clock, Getting Referrals, Who Do You Really Know? And this is hosted by Career Care at St. Andrew's Church. So that's what's going on in the area. Please check the calendar. I'm always adding and changing and updating stuff as things happen. All right, let's see. Next up, just as a reminder, if you're looking for other networking groups or other webinars that are going on in the DFW area, check out the Career DFW calendar. That I've added a line there right underneath the tip of the week to find a networking group holding an online meeting. If you click there where the blue arrow is, it will call up a calendar. It looks something like this, and it'll have all the events going on in the DFW area. So having nothing to do for a period of time, I guess, is unacceptable, because there's always something to do in the Dallas-Fort Worth area every day for networking. If you know somebody who just lost their job, I guess there was 836,000 people filed for unemployment last week. If you know somebody who just lost their job, they need help, they seem lost, besides telling them about Career DFW and careerusa.org, have them click on this little link right here. I just lost my job, what do I do now? When you click there, it'll take you to a one-page handout. It's got some great reference material, what you should do now, checklists that you can print off to, here's what I need to do first, second, third, fourth in my job search, and some other really good basic information on what do I do being a newly laid off person. Mark McDonald, practice interview team.
All right, good morning, everybody. The practice interview team is staying busy, and I want to encourage you to practice early and practice often. So the pit crew is now virtual, and has been, you know, since the middle of March. I'm hoping maybe at the beginning of next year we can start meeting face-to-face again. But here's what you need to do when you're ready to practice, and we give a very targeted and personalized interview experience. You're interviewed by hiring managers. They're volunteers, and they've been hiring managers as part of their professional responsibility. So you send in a resume and a job description, and we go to work giving you a very personalized and targeted interview experience based on that job and your experience. So, and we'll even take you through a series of interviews. So as you progress, if you'd like to practice for your initial interview and then your second round or your third round, then that's available to you. Just reach out each time. Let us know that it's the second or third round or whatever it is. And that also includes practicing if you don't even have an opportunity at hand, just practicing to get some practice. You've probably spent hours and hours working on your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So now it's time to spend an hour at least just practicing delivering your message in an interview situation. So that's how the pit crew works. And you send your information to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. It's on that card there. And we'll go to work right away setting up your interview. So we can do them any day of the week. We need a couple of days advance notice to get everybody organized. But any day of the week during business hours, you know, from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., we'll have an hour for you. And the best part is you get some feedback at the end. You get immediate feedback on things you did well, things that, you know, you might do differently that could be more effective. If you're later in the job cycle, you know, we'll give you some advice on how to interview with directors or VPs. So there's a wealth of information available if you come and practice. So I also want to encourage you to link in with me, and there's my profile. Search for Mark A. McDonald, and I'll be pretty close to the top. You find me pretty quickly. And just send me a message, you know, a brief message. Doesn't have to be a long message. And I have a reasonably large network. They had a speaker at Frisco Connect who has like 30,000 connections. So I've got a small network compared to 30,000. But it's all in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was in the telecommunications equipment industry, now called IT infrastructure. And so my first degree connections can be your second degree connections. Just send me a message and we'll link in. Thank you very much for that. And let me
well, there's also one thing you help people with. What is the one thing you help people with?
What is the one thing I help people with?
How to answer the question.
Oh yeah, my coaching. Yeah. Yeah, I was headed a different direction there. Yeah, so I do help people. I do a little bit of coaching besides running the pit crew, and that little bit of coaching means I help people with this question: why did you leave your last position? And it may not be your last one. It may be several positions back. Any of those, any answer to that question that's going to cause you pause, give you anxiety, let's talk, because you want to be confident, and we can figure out how to do that. Not only the initial answer, you know, why did you leave your last job, but any subsequent questions that may come up based on your situation. And we'll do that on the phone, or we'll do it on Zoom so we can record it. And I think you'll benefit from that a lot if that's your situation. A lot of people, you know, just, you know, got laid off with 50 of their friends, so it's pretty straightforward. The company had some financial difficulty or whatever, but if that's not your case, then let's have a conversation. And finally, I'm still looking for new, to build the volunteer roster for the pit crew. So if you've been a hiring manager or been in talent acquisition and HR, I'd like to talk to you about the opportunity to help others. And you're going to benefit as well. Your interviewing will be much better for the practice you do in the pit crew, the interviewing you provide with the pit crew. And you don't have to come every week, or, you know, almost all of the pit crew are in job search. So, you know, they have opportunities that come up and they're not available. But I try to keep a large roster of about 30. Right now I'm in the 20s, so I got quite a few I could add before I feel pretty comfortable about that. So thanks.
And either Walt or Mark, you want to talk about Wednesday?
Wednesday, well, you mentioned it briefly, and let me repeat it again, because we have another great session coming up. So last week we talked about showing enthusiasm in the interview, and this week, coming up on Wednesday, we're going to talk about building rapport with your interviewer, establishing chemistry. And, you know, probably you've had interviews or met people where you just clicked. And so sometimes, having rapport happens naturally, but there are things you can do to bring it out in the very brief time you meet someone, you know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour for an interview. And that's what we'll be talking about.
Great. Thank you very much. Walt, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is Walt Glass. And so I offer the interview success workshop. I call it Learning Without Squirming. So get your ears on. Here we go. It's free, and it gives options, strategies, structures, and methods to positively differentiate ourselves between other candidates. It's informal. It's not a mock interview. There's only 2 participants per session. It's scheduled on most Tuesdays on Zoom. You must be registered to attend, and it's based upon the 3 pillars that managers are buying, which is I am, I do, and I help. It includes your interview video, plus a comprehensive handout with an accompanying video, plus some more files to help you get that job. And if you didn't catch all of that, look up Walt Glass on LinkedIn, gives you all the details. If you'd like to contact me or connect with me, since I sell differentiation, I request differentiation from you. So a personal note, something about how you know about me, how you learn about me, or something like that, will get you a response. If I don't know you and you ask for just the generic connection, I stay away from generic. So please send that note. I'll be glad to connect with you. I enjoy giving reviews about how we win job interviews. I suggest take a workshop turn showing how we practice and learn. Win that job and chase away boo-hoos.
Walt, thank you very, very much. Lots of applause, silent applause right now. Thank you very much. All right, good morning, Sue Ellen. Time for the career tip of the week.
Good morning, everyone. Today's tip of the week is by Tracy Brower, and it is about 6 secrets to getting hired during an economic turndown. Unemployment is high, and right now it's harder to get hired than years and decades past. But all hope is not lost. There are ways to get noticed and separate yourself, and to get the job even when job openings are scarce. First, consider these encouraging statistics. According to a recent study by the Society for Human Resource Management, 17% of employers were expanding their businesses and 13% were hiring. In addition, according to another annual global CEO survey, it found 74% of CEOs are concerned about the availability of skills in their respective workforces. The bottom line, companies need great employees with strong skills to grow their business, particularly those who are unafraid to take an unconventional and bold approach. So how can you get hired when it seems no one is hiring? Establishing a strong start to your process is key, along with finding the best ways to leverage your network, your creativity, and your distinctive skill sets. Here are 6 ways to get hired during an economic turndown. Number 1, set the bar high and keep it there. The fact is, during tough times, you have to be among the best in your area. Keep your skills fresh and maintain the strength of your capabilities. As the job market has contracted, employers have more choices, so they can select the cream of the crop candidates. There will still be a range of entry points for all levels of positions. However, wherever you are in your career progression, stay on top of your area of expertise. Read within your field. Learn the latest software that will keep you relevant. Develop the newest skills critical to the type of role you want to land. Ensuring your knowledge is cutting edge will set you apart in terms of what you can immediately offer to a company. It will also demonstrate your determination and thirst for learning, 2 characteristics which are always attractive to employers. Number 2, commit real energy into your network. Network is one of the non-negotiables if you're going to get hired. It's critical to tap into the hidden job market and nurture connections that will introduce you to hiring managers. Reach out to people who you know well, but also focus on building links with people who are new acquaintances. Known as weak ties, people who you know less well can inform you about a new opening simply because they have exposure outside of you and your typical, more condensed network. And finally, be intentional about deepening and expanding the relationships within your network. Number 3, take on that inventive mindset. The number of traditional roles may have declined, but your capacity of invention should now. Consider, I think that should be should not. Consider recommending a new role, a contribution, or a skill set you believe the company needs, but may not have thought about themselves. A manufacturing company may need an expert in plant layout to reduce virus transmission, or a retail store may need someone who can innovate creative ways to welcome customers while social distancing. Another way to get in the door may be to offer the company the opportunity to give you a test run. A friend of mine offered to work for free for 8 weeks so the company could test her skills and her fit. Another friend offered to do a salaried job on a commission-only basis for 3 months to prove herself to the company. While these strategies will generally work better with smaller, less formal companies, they may be worth a try at even larger firms. In each of my friends' cases, they were ultimately hired by companies who were enthusiastic about their skills and their futures with each organization. Number 4, articulate your fit. When you talk to a potential employer, tell your story in a compelling way. Resist the temptation to just go through a list of your previous roles. According to an executive recruiting firm, it is especially effective to pull out themes from your experience. Perhaps you're a skilled problem solver, or someone who is especially organized, or the one person who can energize a team. Highlight these kinds of strengths across your experiences. You are a solution, so consider the problems which need solutions and how you can set yourself apart as the best solution. To make the strongest impression on hirers, make sure you stay consistent. You may want to step beyond your current skill set and seek a job that you will grow into, but resist this temptation. In a tight job market, it is best to play to your existing strengths. You'll be competing with people who already have skills in the area where you may be trying to grow. So this isn't the time to try and stretch to a job beyond your current skill set. Instead, emphasize your existing core competencies. Number 5, attract recruiters with an exacting resume. In every role, you'll be a member of a team, and how you play will matter. Think about the team you'll join and market yourself based on what you bring to the team and how you will add something unique and valuable. In addition to being specific about the team, also be specific about the role. Customize your resume for each role by highlighting your relevant experience in a summary or as the top bullets in your work history. You can also identify the specific position to which you're applying at the top. Recruiters are moving quickly, so make it easy for them to see the match between your resume and the job they're seeking to fill. Number 6, demonstrate you can roll with the punches. The pandemic has forced a reset in the market overall, and for many businesses. 10% of employers are in the process of beginning new initiatives. However, 55% of CEOs believe they can't innovate successfully, and 44% cannot pursue new business opportunities because their people lack the skills. This creates the need for entrepreneurial and problem-solving skills among candidates. In addition, because no one has been through a pandemic before, many companies report they especially need innovation and creative skills. Be sure you highlight these in your experience. On your resume and in conversation with your contacts, give examples of how you've solved a thorny problem or found an unexpected solution in a difficult circumstance. Show how you've learned throughout your career and continuously contributed in fresh ways to your previous roles. There's no doubt about it. This is a tough time to find a new job, but companies are hiring, and jobs exist for those who are able to explore and chase after them effectively. Be excellent at what you do and invent opportunities to contribute while highlighting the skills that matter most right now. Stay connected and network brilliantly. Stay visible and keep to the course. Your determination and grit will be important once you're hired for a new job, so express these characteristics in your search and success will follow. Good luck to all of you.
Sue Ellen, thank you. And I guess you've moved to a new vacation spot.
Yes, I left the coast and I came inland.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much. All right, well, we have a video clip of the week. Somebody sent this to me a week ago, and I thought this is pretty fun. So anybody who likes Venn diagrams should appreciate this little bit of humor.
Venn diagrams are perfect for explaining my career path. I'm one of the few comics working in Venn diagrams. So the reason I became an engineer was because of two things. I was good at two things. I had math skills and I was good at problem solving. And when you're good at those two things, no guidance counselor ever says you should be a comedian. They would be fired. So they said you should be an engineer, so I went and became an engineer. Makes perfect sense, right? Over here, if you got people skills, you're good with people, and you're good at problem solving, you're probably going to go into management, right? Makes perfect sense. Over here, if you got OCD, everything has to be exactly right. And you're good at math, you are an accountant is what you are. The accountants were high-fiving over there. I have never seen an accountant high-five. Yes, he got us right. That joke adds up perfectly. That is accountants, though. They can't solve any problems, but they can identify them. That's an accountant. An accountant will go, you got to fix this. Over here, if you're into drinking and you have people skills, you're in sales is what you are. Are we in sales people? That's always the loudest yell. Without fail, they are always the loudest. Over here, if you're heartless and you have OCD, you're in human resources. No heart whatsoever. And if you're heartless and into drinking, you're a lawyer.
All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed that. It was very cute. Yeah, so very, very funny. Thank you very much for whoever sent that to me. I don't remember who it was. All right, so coming up here in just a couple minutes, we'll hear from Carol Brickell, who's going to talk about guidance for job seekers during a pandemic. Next week, how to find target companies using Reference USA with, it's a great presentation. So if you're not really sure where to look and how to find other companies similar to what you did, or if you're wanting to venture out and find something new, please join us next Friday for a great presentation. On October 2nd, first Friday of every month, we'll do open forum. We'll just sort of have a Q&A session, and whatever it is you want to talk about is what we will do. And then on October 9th, identifying and leveraging competencies to secure an offer. So that's the speakers I have lined up for the next few weeks. And I've got speakers, I'm actually booking speakers for late November, December right now to finish out the year. All right, so it's time for our main event. Carol Brickell is with us. For those of you who've joined us for any of the resume classes on Thursday, effective resume classes on Thursday, Carol has been teaching the last 22 of those. It's been really great. And she put this presentation together a couple months ago on just to be able to help job seekers. She's given this presentations to other firms and stuff. So Carol, thank you very much for being with us, and take it away.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeff, for that introduction. I had to keep my microphone on mute during that video because I was laughing so hard. So I waited to unmute my mic. That was really funny. And I see there's a lot of requests to share that link.
All right, maybe we'll play it again at the very end of this, okay?
That was really funny. That's good. So I'm going to share my presentation, and Jeff, give me a thumbs up if you can see my presentation in presentation mode. Let's see, there we are, presentation mode.
There you go.
Good, good. And Jeff, as you mentioned, I developed this presentation several months ago, and I've given it for several organizations, including a group of cancer survivors, because they're very concerned about looking for a job during the pandemic, concerned about safety. And I want to thank Sue Ellen for your 6 secrets for getting hired during an economic downturn. Your secrets go right along with this presentation. So thank you very much for doing that. And we will be interactive. I like to design my presentations to be fun and interactive. And so the first thing I'd like for everyone to do is click on the participant box. And I'm doing the same thing, and I'm dragging the participant box over to my other screen. And in the participant box, click on the green check mark if you can hear my voice okay and see the slides okay. So if everybody could get into the participant box and click on the green check mark, if you can hear my voice, see the screens, good, good. I'd like to do a little sound check there. And then if everybody can open the chat box, and I'll do the same thing. And sometimes I have to click on a couple things to be able to do that, and then drag it to my other screen. So if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at my second monitor and monitoring the chat box. And at any time during this presentation, if you have a question or a comment or something to add, because we can all learn from each other, feel free to use the chat box. Hello, somebody said hello. And somebody shared the link, it looks like, for that presentation.
And for those people on Facebook, we have several people on Facebook now. If you have a question anytime during this presentation, please just enter your questions into the comment box. I am monitoring the feed, and I'll make sure we ask Carol.
Good, excellent, yeah. Jeff and I have done this before, and you're great at jumping right in with questions, and we like to make it fun and interactive. Good. So to get us warmed up, I'd like for everyone to go into the chat box and type in any words regarding the challenges that you've experienced while looking for a job during a pandemic. So if everybody could go into chat and just type in a few words about either the challenges, what you feel like. Somebody said, we're feeling old. So anxiety. I mean, those are all very real feelings. And as a career coach, you know, I tell people, acknowledge your feelings and feel them. It's okay. And some days it's okay not to feel okay. And at the same time, it's good to find strategies to work through those feelings. Find things that do bring you joy, that can bring you out of those dips. It is hard to network. And you know what? Interestingly, I'm finding it's almost easier to network because I don't have to drive to places. I get to join more of Jeff's meetings because I just have to click on a link. And if somebody wants to talk, I'm like, do you want me to send you a quick Zoom invitation? And so I'm finding it's almost easier. And let's see, people feel discouraged. Yes. So if you're feeling discouraged one week, mix it up and try some new strategy. If you've been focusing on your target companies, focus on people, focus on different things with your job search strategy. Networking, frustrating, disappointed, call reluctance. Does that mean you're reluctant to make a phone call? I'm curious what that means, if you have any more comments about that. And one thing I found as a recruiter, when I would get a call or a voice message from somebody saying, "Hi, I'm Carol. I just applied for your corporate recruiting job and I meet your requirements." I love those voice messages. So don't be reluctant to call a recruiter or a recruiting manager at one of your top companies. Let them know you meet the requirements for the job. Staying motivated is hard. So that's why it's good to have a buddy during the job search process to keep each other motivated and help find strategies to keep motivated. And networking challenges. Okay, periods of discouragement. Okay. So Jeff, we might want to do, that sounds like a theme, networking during the pandemic. Maybe that would be a good discussion topic one week. Periods of discouragement. And also, that's another topic to think through. What strategies do people put in place when they feel discouraged or unmotivated? And we could share strategies that work. Okay, staying positive. Okay, those are really great comments, and thank you for being honest. Okay, recruiters not responding. Yeah, you have to help them. Help the recruiter, and you'll see my background. I've been a recruiter. If you help them know that you're a match for the jobs they're looking for, you'll get more calls, because they're paid to work towards the dollar and work towards those candidates that they can place quickly. So if you can show them you've got the skills that match the jobs they're recruiting for, you'll get more calls. And finding jobs available that pay enough. Yeah, no interviews after 6 months of applying. And one big lesson that I've learned, even prior to the pandemic, if you apply for a job and sit back, the chances you'll get called for an interview is only 2%. So it's virtually zero if you just apply for a job. What you have to do is reach out to a person, either somebody at the company who can refer you, or to the recruiter who posted the job. If you don't know anybody, can't find the name of the recruiter, do some research on LinkedIn and find the name of a recruiting leader and reach out to them, let them know you applied to that position and you meet the requirements, and that might help. And network connections, being reluctant to talk. Yes, yeah, because so many things are going on right now. And by way of introduction, like many of you have been a leader, and myself in the IT industry, I worked for EDS. And give me a green check mark if you ever worked for EDS or HP Enterprise Services or DXC or Prospecta. Give me a green check mark if you've worked for any of those organizations. Okay, yeah, I see one. A couple of them. Okay, good. Super. Yeah, great. So I worked at EDS, and we were acquired by Hewlett Packard in 2008. And then there was an early retirement option in 2012. And I decided to go ahead and take that in 2012. And I wanted to get experience as a recruiter. So I got a job at Robert Half and learned from the best. And then I did some corporate recruiting work. And then I went to work for a staffing firm that had been supporting me called Next Step Recruiting. So I had a chance to work both in agency and corporate environments so that I could really learn how recruiting works, so that I could learn more to be a more effective career coach, which was my ultimate goal. And that's what I'm doing now. And I've had, and somebody says they loved working at EDS. So did I. Still have many great friends there. And over my career, I've placed candidates in a variety of different positions: IT, accounting, finance, HR, learning and development. And like Jeff and Walt and Mark, I volunteer every week for the Dallas Pit Crew. And that has been extremely rewarding work to see how people grow through the interview process. I especially love it when somebody does a practice interview and then they come back a couple weeks later and try it again and apply what they've learned. It's so rewarding to watch that process. And then also I facilitate the weekly Resume Thursday sessions with Jeff, and we have I'm doing that. We do try to mix it up every week, and every few weeks I invite different guest speakers to co-teach with me, and that's been just really fun. And last year I got certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And since I've retired as a recruiter, I keep very close in touch with my recruiting friends at Next Step Recruiting. And this week, these are some of the hot jobs that they're recruiting for. And so if you meet any of the requirements of these jobs, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can get you connected with the right recruiter for these jobs. And they are also looking for HR people and IT, more developer type of IT people. And hot job just posted last night is there's a 6-month contract gig for an instructional designer. So if we have any corporate training people out there, and if you know Captivate or Articulate, please, please, please reach out to me. That's a new hot job. It's a contract gig, but it would be a fun one. Why isn't project manager hot? I don't know if they have any project manager positions open right now with their clients. So that's a good question. But they occasionally need some project managers. But through this particular agency, I get a lot of requirements for accounting, finance, collections, some marketing, financial analyst positions, HR, business partner, HR manager types of roles. So if you meet any of those requirements, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you connected. Now, a special note regarding this presentation today. I've developed it to provide guidance to job seekers during the pandemic. And I do want to make a special note that I'm not a lawyer, so none of this is intended to provide legal advice. What I'm simply doing is sharing information that I've gathered based on interviews that I've conducted. I've interviewed an employment law attorney and some HR consultants, and also a VP of talent acquisition to gather input for this particular presentation. And I'm also sharing information that has been published by various government websites. So I'm trying to share facts and data with you. And we will be sharing a handout at some point during this presentation. So you have links to all these resources and a couple of articles. So I'm here to share information, and if you have any information to share, you're welcome to share comments, your advice in the chat box as well, because we can, again, all learn from each other. So here's the agenda for the session today. I'm going to provide guidance for job seekers, and it also can be applicable for people that are working as well. And then I'll walk through several resources from government websites that are surprising, because some of the guidance regarding job searching has changed a little bit. Good. Okay, technical project managers are in demand. Yes, and it's interesting. And some staffing agencies tend to focus more on hiring developers. For the project manager type of roles, you probably have to go more directly to your target companies to get in the door for those types of higher level roles. Good. And then, so I'll talk about resources, especially government resources that are available. And then I will highlight some important tips that are especially important when searching during a pandemic, because you do have to work a little harder. As Jeff and Mark and Walt can attest to, people are hiring, but it is more competitive out there. And somebody's saying they haven't seen the link to download the handout. We will be posting that in chat, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be a document you can download. Great, thank you. So first we'll talk about guidance for job seekers. And as a first step, what I'd like you to do is go into chat. What do you think you should say if you walk into an interview and somebody says, well, so if you had COVID, what should you say? And I'll pause a moment and let people type, what do you think you should say in an interview? If somebody asks that question, be honest. And also the handout is in the chat box now that you can download. Be honest, the truth. That's so funny. As a recruiter, go ahead.
Oh, I will include that handout in the email that goes out this afternoon. So if you don't download it now, you'll get it attached this afternoon.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Good, good. Yes, and I chuckle when several people say the truth, because as a recruiter and a career coach, when people have asked me, what should I say? I would say, honesty is the best policy. And sometimes you don't have to tell the whole gosh darn truth, but, tell the truth. So, and sometimes say, I don't know. And somebody said, you can ask, but sometimes you can respond with a question like, why do you ask?
Okay.
Making conversation, and you don't really have to go into details. Okay. And illegal question. The guidelines have changed. That surprised me because I've always been trained on HIPAA rules that you cannot ask about medical conditions during interviews. The EEOC has changed the guidance on this, and they can ask for the safety of their workforce. They can ask you if you've had COVID, and they can ask you if you have symptoms. And if they've given you an offer and you're supposed to start on Monday for a critical job that starts on Monday, if you have symptoms on Friday, they can withdraw the offer. That all surprised the heck out of me. And I'll share the links to that information through the EEOC. Okay. They shouldn't ask, but actually the guidance has changed. And that's why I'm sharing actual government websites so you can see that information. So, yeah. So, so if somebody asks you, you walk into an interview and somebody says, so have you had COVID? You really shouldn't say, well, no, you're not really supposed to ask that question, because that really changes the whole tone for the conversation. And actually they can ask that question. So you can respond with a question and say, that's interesting. Why do you ask? And they may just be saying, oh, just kind of curious. Have you had it? And so they may just be making conversation because it's something everybody's talking about. And now if they're asking for a real reason, if you've had it and you've been tested, you can say so if you'd like. Or if you're not sure, like me, I had something in February that I'm 95% sure was COVID. You could say, I don't know, because I haven't been tested, and the people around me that had the same thing, they've gone in for testing, and the antibodies, it's inconclusive because it's been a while, and so the antibodies may have gone away. So you could say, I honestly don't know. So these are a couple of ideas that I gathered from experts and based on reading some of these government websites. So give me a green check mark if that's surprising to you that the guidelines have changed. Give me a green check mark, or give me a red X if it's not surprising and you already knew this. Give me a green check mark if that's surprising. Yeah, that's something I learned when I was preparing this information. Yeah, I prepared this presentation for a couple of organizations, and so I really had to research this and do a deep dive. Good. And then, what if you walk into an interview and maybe there's an obvious difference, maybe your hair is gone or something, and somebody asks you if you've had cancer or some sort of illness. And again, you really shouldn't, it would just change the tone of the conversation to say, well, you're really not legally supposed to ask me that. HR experts and even attorneys don't recommend responding that way. Again, if you're not quite sure what to say, you can respond with a question and say, well, that's interesting. Why do you ask? And once again, they could be just trying to show empathy. They may say, well, my aunt was just diagnosed and I was just making conversation. And you could say, well, I certainly wish them the best. And if you wish, you could say, again, you could be honest and say, I've had some, medical situations, but I've been through treatment and I'm ready to get back to work. You could, that's a personal choice. You could do that if you wish, or you could simply say, well, there's nothing to prevent you from performing the assumptions of the job. Yes. Yeah, they can open up a can of worms with that line of questioning. That's absolutely correct. Yes, yes. But I shared this question and this particular question with a group of cancer survivors. So that's why we just addressed this head on, just in case it does happen. Great. And then what if you do need special accommodations and you're applying for a job? For example, many people have suppressed immune systems for a variety of reasons. I do right now. I'm taking some medication that's causing my white blood cell counts to be low. So I actually do have a compromised immune system. And most applicant tracking systems do include a question that's allowed by the government. Do you need any, medical, do you have a medical condition that requires accommodations? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you need special accommodations, rather than going into the interview and saying, well, my immune system's compromised and I need you to do this, 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 and this, and I don't want to come into work, rather than stating what, your concerns and what your issues are, it's better just to ask an open-ended question. What are you doing? Or I'm just interested in hearing what your company is doing to, keep the workforce safe during this pandemic, or however you want to ask an open-ended question. And then usually their response will probably alleviate any concerns that you may have. If anybody has any comments or questions about that, please feel free to join in and chat. And give me a green check mark if you're an HR person, because people sometimes have researched these topics. I don't think we have any HR people out there today. Okay, because sometimes I can get some good advice. Or if you're a lawyer, type a green check mark.
I don't think they want to admit to it after that video.
That's true, after that video.
Right, they don't want to admit to it. So that's okay if you don't want to admit to it.
Good. Okay, and now another chat question for everyone. If you could go into chat and type in either yes or no or a couple comments. Have you found any resources or articles that have been helpful for you during, searching for a job during the pandemic? Any reason not to answer ethnicity, veteran status, special accommodation questions are usually optional. Reason not to answer. Oh, in the online application. Yes, in the online applications. I typically answer those. A lot of companies are trying to hire veterans, and so they may be motivated. Special accommodations. I would tend to answer those. If anybody else has any feelings about that, feel free to address that particular question. And so, have you found any other resources out there? Somebody says no. Yeah, some people found resources through the networking groups. Yes, good. Not really, good. The sites say that, but you're forced to answer anyway. Oh, sometimes in those online applications, you have to answer those, okay. And some through the excellent Career DFW meetings, people have heard a lot of resources. And the free online live training offered through the Houston Public Library is a great resource. Good, good. Networking groups, good. So you all have done a good job reaching out to people and networking. And that's the purpose of this particular presentation today. What I'm doing is sharing all the information I found during my research. So hopefully this will add to your arsenal. And in the handout, we have links to resources from all of these different government agencies. And I hope these will be helpful for you. Good. And this was an organization, as I was doing some career coaching with somebody, they mentioned this organization, the American Industrial Hygiene Association, and they have guidance for employers for office settings. And it's good for us as either job seekers or employees to be aware of the guidance that the government is giving employers, because that way you're a more informed employee or job seeker. And so therefore, it may give you questions you may want to ask. Have you implemented these particular strategies? How do you handle the elevators? If your job is on the 13th floor of a building, companies are putting in, procedures for the elevators, because that's a hot spot. Veteran status, and some people are writing some comments. Okay, good. And Allison is a great training resource. Allison, okay, that's Work in Texas has a lot of training classes through Allison. I'm going to make a note of that.
Yeah, Allison.com. Yeah, they have a lot of classes. It's a lot like LinkedIn Learning or
Lynda.com.
Lynda.com. Saying
yes.
There's the Khan Academy. There's the Goodwill Community Foundation. There are a lot of great training things. Some of them cost, some don't cost.
Right, right. And I learned things on YouTube too. There are a lot of, you have to take it with a grain of salt. It might be, you know, to somebody like me making a video, and but you can learn a lot. So this is one organization that has some resources. And of course the CDC has resources. Specifically, there's a decision tool they've posted for workplaces. And again, by looking at tools like this can make you a more informed job seeker. And so this is a screenshot of one of the tools that the CDC has put out there regarding guidance for organizations during the pandemic. And Texas Workforce Commission is also offering free classes through Metric Learning. And if you're receiving unemployment, you should have received an email about that. Great resources. Thank you for sharing. And then the EEOC. If you don't look at any link, this is the one I do recommend you look at, the EEOC. And they do provide kind of a Q&A regarding employment law during the pandemic. And like, for example, I just did a little screenshot of a section about hiring and onboarding. And one of the questions is, you know, if an employer is hiring, may it screen applicants for symptoms of COVID? Yes. Yeah, they can screen symptoms for symptoms after making a conditional offer, as long as they do it fairly. Yes. And then, may they take the applicant's temperature? Yes. It's part of the post-offer pre-employment medical exam. Yes. And may they delay the start date for somebody who has COVID? Yes. According to current CDC guidance, an individual who has COVID symptoms should not be in the workplace. And then this number 4 is the one that was really a surprise to me, that may an employer withdraw a job offer when it needs the applicant to start immediately if the individual has symptoms. Based on current CDC guidance, the individual cannot safely enter the workplace. Therefore, the employer may withdraw that job offer. So those are just some of those. And I don't know if they've changed since I've done that screenshot. So somebody asked the question, under what grounds can a person be fired if they have COVID? I'm not a lawyer. I don't have the answer to that. Wow. I've not heard of a situation where somebody's actually been fired. So if anybody has any advice on that, let me know, or look at maybe the EEOC website addresses that. So hopefully that's not happening too often. How about making you take COVID test similar to the drug test? And I think that's what we're talking about in the post-offer pre-employment medical exam. Sometimes when they do a drug testing, they would probably do it at about the same time. Address that. And here's a quick fill in the blank question. So once again, going to chat if you know the answer to this question. So fill in the blank. The ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, requires covered employers, that's employers with 15 or more employees, they require covered employers to provide blank blank to job applicants and employees with disabilities. So what does the ADA require? Bingo, we've got a winner. I wish I had candy I could throw out to you. We've got a couple winners. And the answer is reasonable accommodations. So the ADA requires covered employers, that's employers of 15 or more people. Oh, of course, Jeff has a candy bar. So sorry, we can't share it. They require covered employees to provide reasonable accommodations to applicants and employees with disabilities. And they're not required to do this if it would require an undue hardship to the company, like significant expenses or difficulty. So congratulations to those of you that knew the answer to that. And then here in my handout, I include links to more information about the ADA. Yeah, I actually went back and read the actual words again too. So that's kind of a good reminder to know how the ADA Act is really written. Okay. And then OSHA has some great tools. My son-in-law, who works as an operations manager, or warehouse manager, is constantly looking at the guidance from OSHA. They have various fact sheets for employers on how to protect employees. So again, that's to be a knowledgeable job seeker. Those are good tools for you to be aware of. And then also there are some quick cards. And I did a quick screenshot of one of them, how to protect yourself in the workplace during a pandemic. So these are great resources. So if you found these to be helpful, give me a green check mark in the participant box. If you found, these resources or you think they'll be helpful for you. Got a couple of check marks out there. I hope they've been helpful. Good, yeah, good, more check marks. That's great, good. I hope they're helpful. I certainly learned by going through this journey of creating this presentation. And searching for a job during the pandemic, as we mentioned, people are hiring. However, the number of job openings is decreasing. And I've gotten that information anecdotally by talking with my colleagues that still work in the recruiting industry, especially in staffing agency. Initially, during the lockdown, the number of job openings went down by about 30 to 50%. Now companies are starting to hire again. And some staffing agencies like Next Step Recruiting is working with companies that are really ramping up. So they're actually busier now than they were. And so the number of job openings has been going down and the number of applicants is increasing because many people are getting either laid off or furloughed, hopefully not fired during the pandemic, but sometimes laid off just due to business reasons. Okay, somebody had to drop off. Bye. Hope you have a good weekend. Okay. Oh boy. So Texas is a will state, so you can be fired for COVID or not returning to work. Thank you for that. And you provided a link. So thank you for providing a specific link about that. I appreciate the research. It's nice to have people researching behind the scenes during a presentation. So thank you. Good. So since the number of openings is decreasing and the number of candidates is increasing, extra effort is needed. So every week as I'm coaching people one-on-one, I'm encouraging people to take extra effort, and then I help them brainstorm on strategies that they can take to do that extra effort. So I have a question for you in the audience. Once again, go into chat and type in any strategies that you have found that are important, extra steps you've taken regarding your job search to work a little harder during this pandemic. What are some of the extra steps you've taken? So I'll pause a moment while people type in the chat. And then my next few slides after that, I'll be sharing some strategies about resumes, job searching, and interviewing, some key things you really have to do all the time, but especially now. Okay. Yeah, somebody said publishing articles on LinkedIn so you can increase your LinkedIn ranking so that you appear at the top of the stack when people are doing searches, and using video. Yes. I see a lot of bad videos out there, but if you do a pretty good video, that's good. Okay, log. Oh, somebody creates a weekly log to hold themselves accountable. That's good. Yeah, I'm definitely a checklist person. Every day I always like write a checklist of the things I have to get done. The old fashioned way, I put it right there. I always have that there. But whatever method you have to keep yourself accountable, great, great. I may not have time to read all of these, but these are some good ones. Learning to create videos, good, good. Yeah, and test them out. Make sure people think they're good, high quality, and not distracting. More networking and reaching out to contacts, building relationships, great, good. Yeah, don't just reach out to people when you need them. Build those relationships. Online training, so you can include a specific skill on your resume. Yeah, you can take online training and maybe create, like for example, that instructional designer thing that I mentioned where they want somebody with Captivate skills. You know, if you have a little bit of corporate training background, go off and take a Captivate course and get the software and make a little project so you have something you can show people. Good. Reaching out more, good. Several versions of your resume, yes, and customize it every time you apply for a job. Cover letter, like that. And Jeff, if you happen to have it handy, you're welcome to share the cover letter a template that we use on Thursdays. We have just a little simple template that you can use. It's in that T format. Good. And somebody uses jobscan.co to help get through the ATS. It will compare your resume to the job description to see how good of a match you are. Jobscan.co. Okay. Contact people at companies I'm interested in. Good, good. People are generally helpful. Thought it was going to be hard, but it's really not. I think people are becoming more empathetic during these times because everyone has either been laid off, or they know somebody's been laid off, or they know somebody's going through a challenge. So if you reach out to somebody that you don't know and say, I wanted to reach out to you because I admire your company and I thought you might be able to offer me some advice in my career, would you have 10 minutes? And people, I think, are more helpful now, possibly. And also people are more stressed and underwater. So okay. Good, good. Somebody said, yep, me too, Carol. I think that might have been responding to, I don't know, one of the comments. Contact people, companies. Okay, ensuring LinkedIn. SSI is above 70. Good. That's the social, what is SSI? Social something.
Social Selling Index.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Yes. Good, good. And attending this meeting regularly. Okay, good, good. And somebody asked, when is using a coach a better option for someone in the job search? Now you're asking a career coach this. My answer is all the time. You want to talk to a career coach. Career coaches, really what we do is we specialize as helping you when you're stuck, when you're working through a challenge. And we help you think through strategies that will help you get through that challenge. So that's really the key time to seek out a coach. If you're not getting calls based on submitting your resume, if you're stuck and you feel like I've been trying things and nothing's happening and you're starting to feel a little bit in the dumps and you just need some new strategies, or you just want to learn from somebody who can help you with your resumes or various job search strategies, how to get recognized so that you get called in for interviews. And then of course the things that Walt and Martin do regarding interview strategies. So especially when you're stuck, that's the time to call a coach. But you can call me anytime and I'm always happy to help. So, okay. Good, and thank you, Jeff just posted the sample T cover letter format. Resi Match is free all the time. Resi, R-E-S-Y Match. I'm gonna look at that one too. Good. See, I learn every time I teach, I learn. Accountability group participation, good.
Resi Match also it gives you feedback on which of the words that you don't have in volume. Like if it comes up 12 times in the job description and it's only in a resume twice, it tells you. So you can actually go back while you're in Resi Match and you can change your resume to match that job description and then keep plugging it, copying it, plugging it back in until you get to above 80%.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, glad to hear about this one because JobScan gives you free, only 5 chances to get it
yes.
for free. Yeah, so thank you for sharing this one, Raj.
Good, good. Yes, thank you for that. And you do want to be careful so it doesn't appear that you just copied and pasted the job description into your summary. So you want to use your own language, but use those key words. And you do have to write for the machine because the machine can't tell the difference between, for example, improve processes versus improving processes. So you have to write for that machine. Yes, good. Thank you for that. So now I'll share some job search tips that are always important, but especially now. And we'll start with resume tips. You want to make it easy for systems and screeners to see that you're a good match for the job. And those of you that may have attended my sessions on Thursdays when I bring in guest speakers, we talk about this theme a lot. If you've ever attended one of my sessions on Thursdays with Jeff, give me a green check mark. If you've ever attended one of the weekly resume Thursday sessions. Got a couple of green check marks. Hope you found it worthwhile. If you have, write a comment in. If you haven't, go ahead and write a comment in. Maybe I can improve that. So if you have any comments about those sessions, write it in chat. And for those who have never attended, you're welcome to attend anytime, when we try to make them fun. Good. And you do want to customize your resume to the keywords for the job application. And again, these tools, jobscan.co and ResiMatch, can help you get smarter at that. And when I coach somebody, sometimes I'll say, you know, once you're ready, send me the next job you apply to, the job description, your resume. I'll take a quick look at it. I'll read it like a machine's reading it. And I'll let you know if it looks, you know, just based on a recruiter looking at it, if it looks like a good match. Good. Good. And this is a big one. Be sure to fix any grammatical, spelling errors, even spacing errors. Just the other week, I was coaching somebody who had tremendous experience. They were, I think, accounting leader. But however, there was a space that was off in their areas of expertise. And that's all I remember about the resume. Even though they had this beautiful background, you don't want to have small errors. So you want to make sure you've double checked for any grammatical spelling errors. Make sure your verbs are parallel. All the jobs in the past are in the past tense, ending in ED, not S or ING, or a variety of different things. Good, good. Okay. Ensure there's white space and not too much text. You want your keywords to jump out. And those who have heard the Resume Thursday session, what is the amount of time a typical recruiter spends looking at a resume? And I used to say a certain number, and then I read a statistic, and I believe it's true. So what do you think is the amount of time a recruiter spends looking at a resume? And this is when, you know, they've posted a job, there are 300 applicants, and they're going through maybe the top 10 jobs out of there. Okay, lots of good guesses here. Somebody said 45 seconds. No. I used to say between 5 and 10 seconds when I was a recruiter. And then I read an article, Forbes magazine, where they said 7.4 seconds. So basically, they're scanning the summary. They're looking at your areas of expertise, looking for keywords, looking to see if you're currently employed, the most recent job, maybe the first couple bullets, look at the software real quickly, and look at your education, especially if a bachelor's required, look for any gaps. That's about how much time they spend. So, so make it easy for the recruiter. Because what I would do as a recruiter, again, we'd post a job, the ATS system, and we used Workday. It would rank the resumes based on the match. So they would pop to the top. They would be ranked in order of match. And also I could see which ones were referrals. So I would check on those first, because otherwise that VP that referred somebody is going to be calling me and say, why didn't you call my guy? So I'd always look at the referrals first. And so I would scan through those, but we had so many of them that I would usually just get through about maybe 10 resumes out of 300. And I'd maybe find a couple. But then if somebody called me and said they applied and maybe they're farther down in the list and I hadn't gotten to the resume yet, and if they told me they met the requirements and I double checked over the phone, I would always bring them in for an interview. So make a phone call, reach out, let them know that you applied. Say, I want to introduce myself. I had somebody call me once and say, Carol, I'm in New York City. I just applied for your sales position. And I'm your person. You need to talk to me. And I did. I interviewed her and we hired her. She was our financial salesperson for financial tax consulting in New York City. And you want to make sure your resume focuses on accomplishments. And I teach you how to do that in Resume Thursdays by playing something called the So What game. So if you want to learn more, you can tune in for that. And I'm going to use the nifty annotation feature here with this particular graphic. And what this is, what I'm showing is a job description on the left, and this happens to be for a business analyst, and then a resume over on the right. And what I recommend to everyone, and this is so important, when you're applying for a job, please take the time, just a few minutes, to actually read the job description and pick out the key words and key skills that they're looking for. And in this one, they're looking for skills like documenting business requirements, and they want somebody that can improve processes, not improving processes, but improve processes. I'm writing for the machine here. And there's certain requirements for the job that are critical, like Agile and Visual Studio. And you want to be sure that if you've got that background, you're including those in the resume. So people say, oh, Carol, I don't have time to do this when I'm applying for jobs. And I tell people, don't spend hours doing this, just a few minutes, because otherwise you could really be wasting your time. Because sometimes people will apply for a job, it says business analyst, but when you start studying the requirements, and this really happened to me a couple of weeks ago, we were studying a job description, and it turned out they were really looking for a data scientist that could do SQL and all sorts of statistical analysis. And so at the end, the person decided, oh, I'm not going to apply for that because now that I read that carefully, I'm not a good match. So you want to be sure to spend just a couple minutes, make sure you're a good match, look at the keywords, update your resume just real quickly, and then submit. It'll be worth your time so you can appear towards the top of the stack. And then also reach out to a human being at that company. If anybody has any questions about any of this, feel free to type in a chat. And if anybody on Facebook Live has a comment, Jeff can read those for me. Okay. And now we'll talk about just general job search tips that are important. And these are, some of these are strategies I've used with people that I'm coaching that are stuck in their job search, where we just try to change things up a bit. For example, this happened last week. Somebody had been searching for a while. And I said, have you ever done a direct marketing campaign about yourself? And they went, what? And I said, have you ever just gone into LinkedIn and picked your top 25 favorite people that you admire, maybe former bosses, colleagues, people that you trust, and have you sent them a letter letting them know, confidentially, that you're looking for your next opportunity or that you're open to an opportunity? Here's what you're looking for. Here's the value you can bring. Here's a copy of your resume or your one-page executive bio if you have one. And let them know you'd return the favor if they ever need anything. Send that out. And if you do, send it to 25 to 30 people. You might hear back from 3 or 4 people, but that's a strategy. And then also we talk a lot about identifying target companies. The companies you really would like to work for based on your background, where you think you'd be a great fit for the culture, and then network with people at those target companies and set up informational interviews, either people you know or maybe people that know somebody you know. Maybe somebody can introduce you to somebody there. And again, just reach out and say that you're looking for advice on your career. Don't tell them, I'm looking for a job. Do you have a job for me? But just say, I'm looking for your feedback. I thought you might be a great person to provide feedback. And ask for 15 minutes of your time. And when you're setting up those informational interviews, that's when it's maybe useful to have a one-page executive bio. And sometimes we talk about that during Resume Thursdays. Okay, and then after you apply online for a job, you need to follow up with somebody, because if you just apply online and sit back, what's the percentage chance on a scale of 1 to 100 that you'll get called for an interview? 2%. So it's almost none. So you really do have to follow up with a human being, either the person that posted the job, or if you know somebody at the company that can refer you. If somebody refers you, the chances go up to 50% that you'll get called for an interview, or at least get called for an initial screen. And as a recruiter, I found that to be true, because if not, I'd hear from those people that were referring candidates, and they'd say, Carol, have you called my person yet? So do that. And then ensure that your resume aligns with the information on your LinkedIn page, because some recruiters and some HR people like to double check that. Maybe they're a little OCD, that Venn diagram thing. Yeah, some of them are pretty OCD if the dates don't match. And I actually did catch somebody in a lie about their background, because their LinkedIn and resume didn't match. I'm not saying anybody here is a liar, but you do want to make sure it matches so it doesn't raise any red flags. So
May I ask a question?
Yes. Did somebody have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to ask a question. Is it okay to come on with a hot mic, Jeff?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Carol, so if the resume has to match LinkedIn, that's a lot of adjusting I have to do as I target my resume for each specific job.
Okay.
And that gets very time consuming in my mind as I'm digesting what you've said. So can you comment, please?
Yes. Thank you so much for bringing that up. In the About section of your LinkedIn, like for example, if you're a business analyst, but you could also be a project manager and a team leader, you might be able to do 3 different jobs. On your LinkedIn profile, you may want to put all 3 things and keep it there in the About section that you've got all those skill sets. However, when you're applying for a job for a business analyst, the resume you submit for that job, you may want to focus more on the business analyst. The place where it's most important on LinkedIn to match your resume is in your experience section, the company names and the dates. That's where it really needs to match. If anybody has any comments about that, feel free to type in comments in chat. So that's
excellent. Thank you.
Did that help?
It absolutely did. Thank you.
Yeah,
excellent.
You don't want to be modifying your LinkedIn profile every time because you never know when somebody's going to look at it. And your LinkedIn profile is your almost everything you've ever done. But if you're applying for a job, you're only telling them, well, this is what you asked for, and I'm only going to tell you what I've done that relates to what you've asked for. So, because you want them to call you, you know, all the other things that you've done during your career, it's great you've done them, but they're not asking for that. So, you know, don't fill your resume up with those things that would just, you know, give the recruiter a reason not to call you.
Right, right. Now, however, there can be things in your background that show depth of experience that might be applicable for this new job you're applying to. For example, when I retired from HP, now when I started at EDS, I went through the SED program, which is the 10-week boot camp that Ross Perot put together. And so I was a system engineer. And so I had various roles at EDS. And when I retired from EDS HP, I was applying for a technical recruiting role. So I kept that on my resume because that showed depth of experience. I know what a system engineer goes through. So there might be situations where it is useful to include, or maybe just prior relevant experience with the company name and the job titles you had, and that shows some depth of experience. And here's a quick, how much time do we have, Jeff? Do I have till the top of the hour? Do I need?
We can go to 11:30. I mean.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I won't probably keep everybody that long, but I'll be on the line if people have questions.
If we go to 11:30, we won't be able to watch the Venn diagram video again. So
yeah, we want to watch that again. So I probably have 5 or 10 minutes more of content, and we'll address any questions. And we want to be sure to show that video again. Okay. And so if everybody could go into chat, in the last 30 days, how many hours have you spent modifying or enhancing your resume? If you could type a number in. And somebody said, when I tailor my resume, do I need to place the exact job title below my name in the header? Yes, that is the best practice. For example, if you've been a business analyst and you're applying and you've had that job title and you're applying for a business analyst role, you want to put that front and center. However, one time I was coaching a guy who was a technical salesperson, and he decided he wanted to get out of sales and go into recruiting, and all his job titles were sales, but he put technical recruiter at the top of his resume. I said, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look like it's telling the truth. So he put, I think he'd put professional summary here, and then in the opening sentence, he wrote technical professional with highly skilled in interviewing and conducting interviews or something relating to recruiting. So he had to kind of write a bridge to get to that new job title he was looking for. So you do want to be a little careful about that, but the best practice is to put that title front and center. Good. So thank you for those who have gone into chat and typed in the number of hours. Somebody said 40, 50, 10. So you've put in quite a bit of effort. And that's good to put in some effort. Yes. You also want to be spending your time networking and talking to people as well. Okay, good. Now, go in and type in how many hours you've spent practicing for an interview. And that's either practicing in front of a mirror, practicing talking out loud, or maybe you're recording yourself, set up a little Zoom session and record yourself and watch yourself talk back. Oh, that drives me nuts to watch myself talk back. And or signing up with the PIP crew, or reach out to a one-on-one coach, or reach out to Walt Glass with his wonderful session that he teaches, where you don't squirm, you learn, you know. And so I'm getting a variety of questions. Somebody said 20. My cat said meow. Okay, if you heard my cat. Somebody said 5. That's actually pretty good. 4, 15 hours, 8, 10. Okay, 15 hours, 8. That's good. Good. My cat's trying to join in on the conversation as well. Good. So if you haven't practiced for an interview, again, I highly recommend the PIP crew. It's an excellent source to practice. And then also Walt's seminar that he does as well, or webinar. And now I'll just share some of my interview tips. And this is just from my perspective as a recruiter and hiring manager and working with the PIP crew, because we learn something every week with the PIP crew. We learn the various potholes people step into every time and time again. And one tip is be sure to research the company and study the job description before you go into that interview. Be prepared to ask the question, so what do you know about our company? How do you think you'll fit into our culture? You don't want to have deer in the headlights. You want to know the corporate culture. You may even want to jot down their top, core values. And somebody said they've attended Walt's small group session. It was great. So that's a good recommendation there. Highly recommend that. And the reason that you study the job description is not only to make modifications to your resume, but also to prepare stories for key skills that they're asking for. And I'm going to go back to the stories again. And one format is STAR, which is where you say the situation, the task you're given, the actions you took. That's where you spend a little more time, maybe 3 or 4 bullets of actions you took and the result. And sometimes you may want to actually start with the result and say, yes, I was able to successfully improve our culture by implementing a leadership development program. This is when I was a program manager at EDS. The actions I took were this, 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 and this. I met with the executive team, pulled together a project team, created the design document, conducted a pilot session, and the result was we rolled out the training to 10,000 people globally, and we did an employee engagement survey, and the culture improved based on that. So anyway, that's an example of a rough example of a STAR story. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely go to the PIP crew and watch sessions about interviewing on the Wednesday sessions with Career DFW. And then prepare short explanations for your reasons for leaving previous jobs. Short, sweet, and try to say something positive. Like the most common answer right now is, I worked at this company for several years. I was able to contribute. However, they had a downsizing based on COVID. So I'm really pleased to be here to talk about this opportunity. And then if you can say something positive about the company, like they treated us well and gave us a nice severance, that goes a long way. I had several candidates do that when I was recruiting, and that really was helpful. And Mark McDonald is really good at coaching people through explanations for reasons for leaving. And then also prepare a brief answer to the usual opening question, which could be something like, tell me about yourself, or walk me through your background, or walk me through your resume. You want to have an answer prepared based on the job. It's about 90 seconds long. So you may want to open with a thank you. I'm pleased to be here. I really admire this company because of this product you've implemented. Glad to be here. And I've got a bachelor's degree, and I'm skilled in a couple of these areas. You may mention a couple of accomplishments relating to skills they're looking for, a couple of the attributes you have, and then then ask them a question about what they're really looking for in the skills and how you can help them the most, and try to turn it into a conversation. And then you want to prepare questions to ask at the end of the interview and prepare a closing statement. So at the end of the interview, you don't want to say, what are the top 3 skills you need? You want to ask that earlier on. At the end, you want to ask something to get feedback. You know, ask a question like, can you envision me in this role? Or are there any skills that you were looking for that I haven't fully addressed that we need to discuss further? Or is there any reason I would not be considered for this position? If you're really brave and want to ask it that way, but ask some sort of question in words that are comfortable for you to get feedback. And then also ask them, you know, what they like about working there, what they like about the culture, and prepare a strong closing statement based on what you've heard from them during the interview about what they really need. And say, you know, in summary, it sounds like you're looking for this, this, and this. I'm very comfortable with doing all those things because that's exactly the work I was doing, you know, at my previous company. Can't wait to get started. What are the next steps? And wrap it up. And Jeff, did you have a question, or did a question pop up?
No questions here.
Okay, great. I was just watching the microphone there. So at this time, are there any questions that people have? And we have several, you know, experts here that we can rely on if anybody has any questions about job search tips during the pandemic or job search tips in general. And then also, I always like to get feedback about the session. If you have any suggestions of, you know, what I can improve to improve this particular session, or if you have any feedback about the session, feel free to write it in chat. Okay, and I will stay on the line and watch to see if any questions pop up. And at this time, Jeff, I can turn it back to you.
Great, well, thank you very, very much. Great information. I mean, a lot of little details and things that we never thought about, especially what you can now do and can't do with COVID and the new rules and hiring and everything. Very, very interesting. If you're not receiving emails from the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, if you're on Zoom, please be sure to enter in the chat box your name, phone number, email address, area expertise, and a couple of companies that you're looking for. If you're on Facebook, you're welcome just to send me an email. I know I've already gotten one from somebody. And for those people on Facebook, you're welcome to enter your information. I will go through and I will delete any personal information I see on Facebook so that it won't stay there permanently. Next Friday, our speakers are Mike Ray and Kip Lipson. I know Mike's with us right now. How to find target companies using Reference USA. This is a great presentation these guys put together on how to use a free resource that's extremely, extremely valuable in a great way. And when people say, well, I'm not really sure who I should be targeting, you will be ready to go after next week's presentation. I will encourage you, if you do not have a public library card, go online today or next Monday and apply and get yourself a public library card. And that way, Friday after the session, you'll be able to get off and running and figure out how to use, you know, you'll see how to use Reference USA, and you won't have to wait another week to try to get a library card. So get that library card today if you don't have one. And for those people who have not, and for those people on Facebook, because we weren't on Facebook at the time, in the chat box, if you will, please be sure to enter your name, your phone number, your email address, position you're looking for, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. And the reason I do this is because, and one, because I want to be able to share this information so that everybody can see. But the other reason I do this is because this also helps me update the roster and get all the information so that if you're using us as a source for TWC, in case TWC reaches out, I can verify that you were part of the group. So if you'd like to do that, especially for those on Facebook, you may do that. Next week, please be sure to join Career DFW and Career USA each week. We've got LinkedIn training every Tuesday from 1 to 2:15. This week, Locke Alderson will be with us. Next Tuesday for the Frisco Career Transition Workshop, it'll be session number 2, Resume Optimization, Design and Content. Wednesday, be session number 8 for Interviewing Wednesdays. building rapport, establishing chemistry with the interviewer. And then every Thursday, our effective resume class with Carol. And we have an opportunity, you have an opportunity if you'd like to submit your resume, we will do an online resume review and we'll give you comments and other people may comment on it also. You're welcome to hide your name, hide your phone number, but you know, the basic part of it will be able to help you and give you a little bit of a review. Please note these sessions are being recorded. They will be on the Career FW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, if you're not following us, we ask that you follow us. What will happen every time we go live, your phone will give you a little buzz that Career FW is currently live. And if you subscribe to the Career USA YouTube channel, every time I post a new video, and I'll have this video up later this afternoon, when it's posted, you'll get an email saying that there's a new video has been posted to the channel, or you'll get some kind of message. If you go to YouTube, this is what it looks like. Go to the Career USA YouTube channel. You want to click on playlist. It's the easiest way to view things because that way everything's in categories. If you click on the category North Dallas Plano Focus Group Speakers, and then where the red arrow is View Full Playlist, you will see all the events that are listed there, and then you can pick whichever one you want. And if you want to see the Frisco Career Transition Workshop, you can do that. The interviewing ones, LinkedIn, resume, whatever one you like to do, you can go back and look at all those videos. Okay, here's our bonus view. So if you didn't catch it the first time, I know somebody put a link in for a little bit longer link, and I'll be sure to copy that link and put that in my email to everybody this afternoon. But here we go again for our video clip of the week.
Venn diagrams are perfect for explaining my career path. I'm one of the few comics working in Venn diagrams. So the reason I became an engineer was because of two things. I was good at two things. I had math skills and I was good at problem solving. And when you're good at those two things, no guidance counselor ever says you should be a comedian. They would be fired. So they said you should be an engineer, so I went and became an engineer. Makes perfect sense, right? Over here, if you got people skills, you're good with people, and you're good at problem solving, you're probably going to go into management, right? Makes perfect sense. Over here, if you got OCD, everything has to be exactly right. And you're good at math, you are an accountant is what you are. The accountants were high-fiving over there. I have never seen an accountant high-five. Yes, he got us right. That joke adds up perfectly. That is accountants, though. They can't solve any problems, but they can identify them. That's an accountant. An accountant will go, you got to fix this. Over here, if you're into drinking and you have people skills, you're in sales is what you are. Can we get salespeople? That's always the loudest yell. Without fail, they are always the loudest. Over here, if you're heartless and you have OCD, you're in human resources. No heart whatsoever. And if you're heartless and into drinking, you're a lawyer.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us today. Carol, thank you very much for your time. Everybody, please have a great weekend. It looks like we're going to have beautiful weather. I know I'll be out doing a lot of yard work, so everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.